Ibrahim is the first PMP of 2022. Abhishek, Mr. Isam Khan, Lisa, Adirud, Janvir, Ali, Abhilash, Sabir, Asad, Yo Manish, Abhishek, Mr. Jamal, Mr. Amer, Alvin, Neha, Mr. Raju, Pradeep, Amit, Rashmi, Amana, Uzair, Said, Dash, Gulam, Muhammad, Aarti, Pawan, Tarek, Iqtidar, Numan, Mandar, Muazzam, Niju, Abraham, Wasi, Raj, Osman, Zal, Harsh, Abhilash, Kam Babu, Rashid, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Raju, Hasib, Saban, Rawana, Ubaid Babar, Mr. Zahir Hussain, Zagam, Shaji, Dr. Asif, Azim, Surinder, Nisar, Mary, Namat, Mangesh, Srinivas, Subramaniu, Sundela, Nadir, Kamal, Christopher, Mansoor, Venkat, Unindra, Sim, my 150th certified PMP in 2022. So we are back, and thank you very much for joining today. So consistency, and consistency. The only thing that you need to have in your life to achieve any particular thing is just this one thing: consistency. We try to be consistent as much as we can, and this pathway series is one of that part of our consistency and commitment to you guys. Today is first day of Eid back at home, and but many people said that you can delay the session, but I said no. I need to have this session. I need to give this message, this commitment to all the PMP aspirant. They can be preparing while doing the Eid, Holi, Christmas. If you want to achieve something, if your goal is important, you have to do it. So this goal is important to me. And what is my goal? To help each and every single individual to become certified PMP in the minimum possible time. For that goal, we have every month one batch program that is going to start on this Friday. If you haven't taken the training, you can join, or you can join at any time a one-to-one program. Being said that, let's get back to this pathway series and what we have covered so far in this pathway series. So, Seth, I'm coming to that. I'm gonna answer your question. So, we started this pathway series a month back. We have covered agile, stakeholder, communication, team, that is resource. We have covered risk, quality, procurement. So we have covered 7 episode of this pathway series, and this is eighth episode. After this, we will have schedule, cost, and business environment integration, business environment, then integration and closing. Integration closing will be combined. Then I will have a mega episode in which I will summarize the entire PMP in 2 to 3 hours. So this will be the plan for that, and my goal is to end it before my anniversary, that is 16th of September, so that after that I can set new goal and work into that proper domain. I highly recommend, if you haven't watched these pathway videos, previous pathway videos, please do watch. If you haven't watched the journey videos, do watch. At any time, if you have any question regarding PMP, this is my number, this is my email address. I just added as a trigger. You can ask it. Any question, I am available. When I'm not sleeping, I'm not driving, so I have my phone addicted to me, or I am addicted to my phone. Both way there, so I will be answering there. So, Seth, I answered you. Hello, Caroline. Good to have you. Hello, Paneet. Thank you very much, Paneet. Hi, Usha. Good to have you. Hello, Jigar. You are doing awesome, Jigar. Hello, Chimze. Good to have you back. Hello, Muthu. Good to have you back. Okay, so all the people watching on LinkedIn, I do recommend if you come on the YouTube and watch on YouTube. The purpose here is that because on YouTube you can actually comment properly and I can answer your comment. Being the less, let's start this topic. Now, before moving forward, scope is interlinked with the requirement, interlinked with the life cycles, or how the entire project work into that. So let's see. Hi Rajaram, good to have you, Rajaram. And guys, do like this video and do share in all the platforms so that other people can also learn this. Other people can also get these things, how these domains are, and they can also learn. So there are two things. One is product. Product is like you can say from need assessment. When you plan, you want to do something. From need assessment, then you make a business case, benefit management plan, then project charter, then actually execution of project. When the project is closed, then it is operation, and then one day it is terminated. This is product life cycle. The entire life cycle of product, what we are considering it. This is called as entire product life cycle. Whereas in PMP, the scope of PMP starts from here. Once the project charter is made, once the project charter is made till the project is closed. This is product life cycle. We have project life cycle. But product life cycle and project life cycle. But project is made so that it can transition into operation. Product is a bigger thing, project is a smaller or a subset of it. But project is something that deliver values and that starts your project actually. So both of them are extremely important. The scope of PMP is more of a project life cycle. However, when we collect the requirements, when we gather the requirements for the entire project, for everything, that is for both of them, for product and project. What do? We collect the requirement for the product because it will have all the requirement. As project is a subset of it, it will have the requirement of a project itself, it will have the requirement of a product itself. So when you collect those requirements, automatically everything gets covered inside it. So one of the most important thing that we need to do here is to collect the requirement in PMP, particularly in predictive PMP. And the scope area we are going to cover in this class is entirely predictive. Agile is entirely covered in the Agile pathway video. You can watch that. This will only focus on the predictive life cycle. But if you have any question about the Agile, I can answer that at the end of the class. So project life cycle and product life cycle, two things. If they are clear, please put in the chat box. They are important. I need to know that that is clear to you. If that is clear, then I will move forward. Please ping me. Please put in the message that this is clear. Then I will move forward. Product life cycle and project life cycle, and both life cycles are clear to you, all of the people. That is important thing. That's a differentiation factor that will start from there. Okay, KR is clear, clear Jigar. Okay, thank you. Hmm. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we have a requirement management plan. Requirement management plan will tell you how to collect the requirement. What are the ways to collect the requirement? There are so many tools and technique that we use to collect the requirement. The first technique, always the first technique will be to collect the requirement. CR here means collect the requirement. Okay. Collect the requirement. So once you are collecting the requirement, the first thing is you always go to expert or subject matter expert and ask them what requirements can be for this project. You know it, you don't know it. The first thing is you go to the subject matter expert, ask them what are the requirements in the project that we need to cover. We go to SME, collect the requirement from subject matter experts. Then the other technique is that we can gather the a subject matter expert, 8 to 12 subject matter expert focused on a topic, and we called it as a focus group. Like focus group is a gathering of a subject matter expert from 8 to 12. This session is led by the facilitator, and actually we also do brainstorming inside it. Like brainstorming is an idea generation technique. what happens in brainstorming? There's a storm in your brain. You want like there's a storm in your brain, and you pick the ideas. The light bulb move in your brain. So ideas are generated in brainstorming, and ideas are random. So once ideas are generated, you can categorize the idea by making mind mapping or affinity diagram. Like, what is mind mapping? You can make any kind of structure, flow chart also come under mind map. Affinity diagram is just categorizing it by the names, by the size in a different way. So expert judgment can be used to collect the requirement. Focus group, if people are more than 8 to 12, we can have a workshop. Facilitated workshop, we call it. Same structure, brainstormings, ideas are generated, categorized, and sometimes we also vote them through voting in those workshop to see which ideas are more important in those workshop. So we cover expert judgment, focus group, and facilitated workshop. Then we can also review the documents. We have a lot of documents at our hand. Project charter that is giving us the high level requirements. Uh, then whatever the lesson learns are available, maybe business case, benefit management plan can be looked at this area. We review the document to analyze what are the requirements are there and how those requirements can be utilized. So that can be a good way just to put into that what are the requirement in what are the requirement we have, and work into those requirement, and we categorize those requirement into a different way and see how those requirements are, and we are working into that. So document analysis another way to get the requirement. Then we have prototype. Prototype. Puneet, I'm coming to that. Just wait. Prototype. Prototype is basically we make something, we show it to the customer. For example, let's say I want to make an airplane. I make two airplanes and then show it to the customer. Okay, which type of like aeroplane you need, or maybe even I just make one of the aeroplane and clarify my requirement, and in second iteration I make the other document there. Or we can just make design on the computers to show them, hey, these are the prototypes and what are your input about these prototype, just to collect and clarify the requirement. Then, as Paneet said, story map or storyboarding. This is mainly used in agile. Story map or storyboarding to basically make minimum viable product. Minimum viable product is a product that has a minimum requirement and it is used for the exactly marketing purpose. Then value stream map. In lean, we can use value stream map basically map what are the value added task, what are the non valued added task in your project. We categorize both value added task, non value added task, and the purpose is to get leaned about it, remove non value added task from the object and only get the value added task. Then we have a context diagram. Context diagram. Context diagram is basically a diagram which shows the entire environment, how something is interacting with every single thing. For example, if I talk about the context diagram in this domain, let's take the example of ATM. I really like the example of ATM. You are putting cash in ATM, you are taking out the cash from ATM. You are also getting the bank state from ATM, getting their pin. The ATM is also connected to the internet, giving the data, getting the data. ATM is connected to the bank servers, and ATM is also connected to the government server where the government can work into that. So that's the context diagram. Different diagrams working a different way, the different purpose of each diagram. So these are all the tools and technique that we utilize to get the requirement. Any confusion in these tools and technique? How do we uh, how do we collect the requirement? Any confusion in that? If it is not confusion, put yes, it is clear. Put something in the chat box. This is clear. Please put in the chat box. It is clear. So Abdul Samad, context diagram can be utilized in this way that we look at, okay, construction site, how people are gonna, how workers are gonna use this construction site once the construction is built, how the executives are gonna use this construction site. If there is a like uh, VP or government bodies like Prime Minister have to come to that building, then you need to make a helipad for that. For normal people, you have a different way. From the executive, you have a different way. And if there's a your construction site can have a fire, how the fire resistant will work. So each will have a different thing and different work into that. Please always clarify the question like value stream mapping and context diagram. What is your question, Chinze? I'm not clear about that. Just put their name and put a question mark. Always remember 4 hours of communication, right information, right time, right people to have the right impact. When you put just a question mark, how, what we understand from there? Okay, then context diagram I explained. Value stream map is a diagram that we use. We map the entire journey of the project. For example, I like to give the example of that. Let's say I go to McDonald's to get this coffee. Let's say I went to the McDonald's to get the coffee. So how basically in drive-through I go. First, the step one would be I will be in the line. Okay, I go there. I'm waiting. Then I will give order. Then again waiting. Then in the next I will give money. Then again waiting. Then in the next one I will get my order. What is happening? I am waiting and getting my order. Waiting. So value stream map the entire process. It is mostly used for process, but can also use for the project to identify the improvements. How we can improve, how we can improve these things. How, what are the ways into that? There is difference between context and flow chart. I did explain those context diagram. Is it clear? Now I have explained this. If this is clear, please put in the chat box that this is clear. Okay, once you have collected all the requirement goes into like project requirement, product requirement into two documents: requirement documentation and requirement traceability matrix. Let me first talk about what is RTM or requirement traceability matrix. Requirement traceability matrix is kind of an Excel file. It's kind of an Excel file that has the entire detail: who collected the requirement, what was the requirement, like who asked the requirement, what was the exact requirement, what was the success criteria or KPI of the requirement, what is the status of the requirement, how the requirement will be fulfilled, what will be the priority of the requirement. Each and every single detail of the requirement is basically taken out in the requirement traceability matrix. We look at the requirement traceability matrix and we put every single thing into requirement traceability matrix. This is the beauty of requirement traceability matrix. It will be used throughout the project, having every single thing in your project, and as you move forward you will update it. It will be both for project as well as product. Whereas I would say requirement documentation is considered as a subset or the superset of RTM. It only classifies the requirement into various types. Which of the requirements are functional requirement, non-functional requirement, stakeholder requirement, quality requirement, etc., etc. It classify project requirement, product requirement, all the requirements. It classify it into. For example, functional requirements are the requirement that should be present in that. Without that, you cannot make it MVP. Non-functional requirement can be a security requirement. I like to give an example like my this Mac Pro has a touch sensor. Like if I touch it, I can open it. Similarly, with the iPhone, I never use it. I don't log it. Those are the security requirement which I don't need it. Those are non-functional requirement for me. Capacity, things like that. We classify the requirements into the requirement documentation and we put all the requirement into requirement traceability matrix. Now, according to requirement management plan, by following the requirement management plan and through various tools and technique, what we have done, we have collected the requirement, put it into the requirement documentation and requirement traceability matrix. The next thing is filter out the requirement, separate the product requirement and the project requirement, because we are focused more towards the project requirement. I would say that let's make a funnel here. All the requirements are there, and here we put the scope filter. We put the scope filter. Like we see the product analysis, we break down the product and see what are the things that we need to do in order to achieve the best product. How do we do value analysis, like value engineering? Or in simple word, we have collected all 10,000 requirement, we put the Moscow on them. What are the most important requirement, should requirement, could requirement we can have through it? All those requirement passes through the filter. All those requirement, those were in the requirement traceability matrix, passes through a filter, and if they passes it, they becomes the part of the project requirement, and we capture them into a document that is called as project scope statement. Now, this is a very, very important document. How we are collecting the filtering the requirement is defined by scope management plan. We have two plan, requirement plan and scope management plan. Now, we have a project scope statement at our hand. Everything that is in our project, assumptions, constraint, what we are gonna make, what we are not going to make, everything should be here in detail. There's a big difference between the statement in the project charter and in the project scope statement. In project charter, in two line, let's say we have written, I need a house of 2000 square feet. Okay, that is the project's there is a statement of the charter. Is here in project scope statement, I will put it, I need a 2000 square feet house with four rooms, having four air conditioner, having these many lights, having these many washrooms, these tiles, these color, each and every single thing, as much as detail you put it into the project scope statement, and we get it approved it from the sponsor, show them that are they fine with that. So we have our project scope statement at our hand. If there is any confusion with the project scope statement, please put in the chat box. Any confusion so far by anyone on any topic, please do ask. Now we have project scope statement at our hand. The next thing is break down the work. Break down the work, decompose. The right term is decompose the work and make work breakdown structure. Make work breakdown structure. Let's say for deliverable bars, we want to make Burj Khalifa. I used this case study in my last batch, Burj Khalifa. So what will be the WBS? We have civil work in it. We will have electrical work, we will have mechanical work, we will have plumbing work, we will have HVAC work. Okay, civil, a further breakdown, excavation work, maybe scaffolding work, I can put it, maybe concreting work, etc. etc. Scaffolding, a further breakdown into, I'm just breaking it down, and this further as we will divide it to as small as manageable part. We will divide it to smallest part, and we can give it number 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So just to differentiate, I will put it here. Since this is 1.1, I will call it 1.1.1, 1.1.2, 1.1.3, 1.1.4. We have taken this, further elaborated it. I will put it 1.1.2.1, then to 1.1.2.2, 1.1.2.3, 1.1.2.4. I break down this one, so this will be further breakdown, and we keep on dividing this thing unless we get the last thing. These numbers, these 1.1.2.4, whatever the number, these number are known as code of account. Each number represent the work we are gonna do, how we are gonna do, and This entire structure, this breakdown of a structure is called as WBS, work breakdown structure. In order to understand this code, because of course it seems difficult to understand these codes, we use code. In order to understand this, we have WBS dictionary. WBS dictionary will have each dependability explaining each and everything in detail. What does this code of account mean? What does this code of account mean? Now, this highest level, we can call it as a deliverable. This is deliverable. This is called as management account. The highest level range, 1.1, 1.2, is called management account. And the lowest level of WBS is called as work package. Management account, work package. Okay. Management accounts are basically known as control account. Some author called it management account. Some author are called them as a control account. And the lowest package is called as work package. Work package, by a rule of thumb, should be an effort of 8 to 80 hours. You should divide the WBS into smaller part so that the effort should not be less than 8 hours and should not be more than 80 hours. That's a rule of thumb. Every organization have their own WBS structure. In between this control account and this work package, we have a level in which the planning team divide the work according to them. We call them as planning package. So highest level control account, the lowest level work package. In between we have planning package. Any confusion till here, please ask. Any confusion till here, please ask. Please, if this is clear, put in the chat box this is clear. If there's any confusion, please ask. Yeah, sure. Okay, clear, clear, clear. Activity is further divided once we divide the work package, that in scheduling is there. Here we don't have the work package. In scope, we don't get activity. In scope, the lowest part is work package. Yeah, you can say the work package is a combination of activities. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so it is clear, we can move forward. So where were we? Yeah. So now, what do we have at our hand? If I look at there, we had project scope statement, WBS, WBS dictionary, we have code of account. WBS has all those things, code of account, work package. This combination is called as scope baseline. This combination is called as scope baseline. Now we get it approved from the change control board or sponsor. We get it approved from change control board or sponsored. Once it is approved, we cannot add anything. We cannot add anything, we cannot remove anything. And at the end of the day, the client will check from the scope baseline, nothing else. Because scope baseline is agreed with the client or with the sponsor, they will check from this scope baseline that what we have made is according to them or not. They will accept it or they reject it. Scope baseline is the most important document. Everything must be there. Baseline is clear. Put yes, it is clear. I need 22 yes. Everyone, please put the yes there if this is clear to you. Now, we have made this. We have made scope baseline. If client wants anything, they have to raise a change request. They have to raise a change request. The change request goes to change control board, and if the change control board approve it, then the scope baseline is updated after doing detailed impact analysis. We'll cover that in journey of change request, or you can watch the journey of change request. But they have to raise change request. If without raising a change request, client keeps on adding scope. If without raising a change request, client tries to add something, that is called as scope creep. That is called as scope creep. If without going to the change control board, client tries to add or does add something, we called it as a scope creep. It's an important concept. Client is trying to add something without going to change control board. It is called scope creep. So now, if we deliver, we over deliver to the client. Something was not even asked. Something was not even asked. We add extra features in the final product. If we add extra feature into the product, this is called gold plating. Gold plating. Important difference, because people get confused about that. Scope creep is client is trying to add something without going to change control board. In gold plating, we are adding something without even client asking. Scope baseline needs CCB. Of course, once you make the initial scope baseline, your scope baseline should be approved by the change control board, by the sponsor, or by the client. They need to be approved. They will check it. Okay, whatever we requested, everything is there. Now go ahead. Yes, good to go. That is important to know. Of course, it needs to be approved. So now scope creep and gold plating. So once your scope is done throughout the project, the team delivers on the scope and you are monitoring the scope, making sure the scope is within there, you are controlling the scope, and then there's a validate scope. Oh, I already have this. Then there's a validate scope. What is validate scope? Validate scope is a process. Validate scope is the process in which client accept or reject the deliverable. Client accept or reject the deliverable. So how the deliverable goes to the client, let me show you in the form of journey of deliverable. So deliverable is made in execution. As soon as the deliverable is made, it goes directly to control quality, CQ. In control quality, according to quality management plan, the quality team, not the client, quality team check the deliverable, inspect the deliverable, whether the deliverable meet quality management plan. That's it. If the deliverable meet quality management plan, we get verified deliverable. Verified deliverable mean only one thing. This is approved by quality. End of story. Nothing more, nothing less. Verified deliverable means this is approved by quality because it meets quality standards. Nothing more, nothing less. And if it does not meet, we raise a change request, and preventive, corrective, or defect repair can be taken on those things. It goes to change request, repairing, and those things. These verified deliverable, these verified deliverable then goes to client. In this process, validate scope. I wanted to make it diamond, but it's okay. Let me try to make it again. Yeah. So this goes into validate scope and client inspect here. Here, client is inspecting. In quality, team was inspecting. Client inspect it according to scope baseline. And if they say, okay, deliverable is good, we get validated deliverable, or also known as accepted deliverable. Here we are getting accepted deliverable. Here a client is accepting deliverable if it meets according to scope baseline. If it does not meet, we get a change request, corrective action, preventive action, or a defect repair needs to be done. Then these accepted deliverable goes to closing the project. So guys, anything that we have discussed that is not clear to you, please ask. We are almost done with this thing. We are going to solve, I will show you the mind map. Anything that I have just shared is not clear to you, please ask. Clear? Thank you, Muthu. Anyone else? Anything that we discuss that is not clear? For everyone, we will solve 5 questions here, so do stop here and I will be giving assignment today also. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's go and let's just review what we have just covered from the slides so that I don't miss anything. Okay. I have to be humble enough to know that I can miss anything. Okay, scope. So I made this presentation today. I hope the format is good. This is the first time I use this one. What do you think about this color scheme? Do tell me. This is the first time I use this color scheme. Acha ji. Topics to cover. What we have covered here is basically project requirement versus product requirement. We covered it through the life cycles thing. Requirement management plan we covered. Requirement documentation, traceability, scope management plan, scope statement, WBS dictionary, scope baseline, scope creep, gold plating, validate scope, journey of deliverable. Okay. Yeah, code of account is a part of our scope baseline, HMC. It is a part. We covered expert judgment, document analysis, focus group, context diagram, value stream mapping, prototype. We also use questionnaires and surveys. We also use questionnaires and survey when especially we are trying to collect the requirement for large number of people. We actually use questionnaire and survey to get the requirement quickly. Whenever the exam says which tool and technique you can gather, you can use to get the requirement quickly. Questionnaire and surveys can be utilized for that particular purpose. Benchmarking, whenever we are identifying the requirement, sometime especially when we talk about the compliance requirement, we use that the benchmarking. We compare what other people are doing and we try to benchmark it and try to use it. We did cover that in detail in quality also. Interviews specifically when you are trying to get the confidential information out of the people. Interviews can be used. They are a very good way to get the requirement. Observation, when we are looking at things we can improve it. Workshop, mind mapping, affinity diagram, storyboarding. Correct requirement have maximum tools and technique, and they are covered in the exam, so do make sure you understand all of them. Okay, so this is your assignment. You have my number screening there. You can send me the answers by email or WhatsApp. What is the purpose of scope baseline? Take a picture of this slide. What is the purpose of, or you can ask this slide, I can share you. Purpose of scope baseline. What could impact the creation of scope baseline? Which area do you think will have all these questions? I need your answers. Oh, and I prefer your answers should be given today. Okay, so being said that, now the one of my favorite time, and whenever we cover a topic in a pathway video, we do 5 questions after that. So question number one on your screen. Whoever put the answers, please put the answers with the justification. And if anyone has not liked the video still, please, I do request you, please uh, do put that, do like the videos and put all those things like. Please put the justification why C is the answer. Jigar, Darita, Yogesh, Mario. Please put the justification. Okay, now let me solve this question. A client, while inspecting the deliverable, has rejected it. Okay, what will you check to make sure deliverables were according to a requirement or not? Project scope statement. Although the project scope statement do contain all the details about the requirement, but the client has not agreed to the project scope statement. Quality report, no. Scope management plan, no. The straightforward answer is scope baseline. And I did mention that, Yogesh, I did mention that we need to work. And Muthu, how could you put A? How can you put the A answer there? Yogesh, I did mention that quality reports is something that we need to work into that, and we work into the context to see how those quality reports can work and what are the things in those quality reports. So I hope the answer is clear to everyone. And if it is not clear, of course, you can always ask me. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the next question. Still, a lot of people have not liked the video. I will request you, please, everyone, do like this video. Only we have 13, 14 likes so that it can start coming into the algorithm of YouTube. And for those people who haven't subscribed, do subscribe it because our commitment to YouTube is increasing on day by day. So you will not miss out anything. And everyone who watched the video later on, I would love to interact with you guys. If you have any question, put it in the chat box. I'll come to and answer all of you. Okay, Chimdip, please put the justification, Junaid, justification, Vihan. Okay, this is okay, okay, Simridhi, okay, we still have five. Okay, so the project manager has developed a strong relationship with the customer. During a discussion, the customer requests a small change in the scope. How should the project manager have responded? Refuse and explain that the no change can be made. No, that is not true. Scope can be changed, but there's a way to that. Confirm the changes will be placed in the backlog. No, we cannot put the changes like even in the agile, the customer have to request product backlog and then it works into that way. Ask the customer to provide the change in the writing so that it can be that can be the answer. Instruct, we cannot instruct anyone. That is not the answer. So this is the right answer. So yes, everyone, almost everyone has given us the right answer. Very well done, guys. Next question. Okay, you are collecting the requirement. You want to use the tools that will link the requirement with all the affected environment. So we know that the expert judgment is asking the expert. Context diagram can be value stream mapping. Just identify the value added task, remove the value added task from there. Focus group is not there, so context diagram is the answer. Next question. Guys, do tell me this framework or the previous that I have been using, the green framework, the green background, which is more like eye catching or easy to understand, so that I will use that for the next future coaching calls and these things. You know, I take your feedback very seriously and manage it accordingly. Okay, in which process client verify the deliverable. If you were listening to the journey of deliverable, you know that control quality is the place where basically team checks. It is not where the client check. Although the word is used verify, but we're talking about the client. So client check in that validate scope. Last question for today. Okay, what approach should the project manager follow to obtain the requirements needed? Despite multiple requests, the manager has been unable to organize a session with the stakeholder. Will provide key requirement. What approach should the project manager obtain the requirement? Submit a questionnaires. Okay, that can be, but okay, schedule individual interviews with the key stakeholders. Okay, have the team define no, ask the sponsor no. So let's go to the question one more time to eliminate this. Multiple requests. He's unable to organize a session. Means people are busy. The key stakeholders. Now the questionnaire is used when you have a large audience and you want to get the requirement. The bad thing about the questionnaire is that if you send 100 questionnaires, only 20 to 30% people will fill here. We already had that problem. Why we want to have the problem again? So the best thing is to schedule an interview session and work with that. B is the right section. So, guys, that was all the question answers for today. And this is the mind map just to revise everything what we have studied, just to review that. We develop something using scope management plan. We have different meetings. We make a scope management plan, requirement management plan. We collect the requirement. Once requirements are there, through various requirements technique like document analysis, focus group, questionnaire surveys, benchmarking, observation, workshop, prototype, context diagram, storyboarding. We get requirement documentation and requirement traceability metrics. So from there, we make project scope statement. From project scope statement, we make WBS, get a scope baseline. We try to stop scope creep and gold plating, and then we discuss the journey of deliverables. Another way to put it that the context. So that's it from my side today. If you have any question, I'm here. You can ask me. Otherwise, we can call it a day. And like always, I am extremely happy that you guys took your time and joined us. Uh, from all over the world, we have students from almost all over the world here. So, guys, if you haven't taken that training, just want to put in the context, the batch program is starting this Friday in 5 days, and we still have a few spots left. You can join that batch program, and we will help you to clear PMP like 178 certified PMPs who have already done it. You can join it, and we will make sure that every single one of you become certified PMP. Chimze, we use questionnaire when we want to collect data urgently and the audience is large. We have a large audience, then we will use this thing. So thank you very much and best of luck to everyone. And you have my number for the contacts. And till next time, best of luck. Eid Mubarak to all the people who are celebrating it. And bye bye.
I would have not been able to clear the exam if Amer Ali would have not been there. I would have not been.
I did not believe that I will be able to clear my PMP within a month.
I don't know what to say actually, like I'm kind of like really
And I
trembling.
got my results and I was above target in all three categories.
Wow. Ibrahim is the first PMP of 2022. Abhishek, Mr. Hisam Khan, Lisa, Aderul, Jangir, Ali, Abhilash, Sabir, Asad, Manish, Abhishek, Mr. Jamal, Mr. Amer, Alvin, Neha, Mr. Raju, Pradeep, Amit, Rashmi, Amana, Uzair, Said, Rash, Ghulam, Muhammad, Aarti, Pawan, Tariq, Iqtidar, Numan, Mandar, Muazzam, Niju, Abraham, Wasi, Raj, Usman, Zal, Harsh, Abhilash, Kam Babu, Rashid, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Raju, Hasib, Saban, Rawana, Ubay Babar, Mr. Zahir, Zagam, Shaji, Dr. Aarti, Aziz, Surinder, Nisar, Mary, Namat, Mangesh, Srinivas, Subramaniu, Sundela, Nadir, Kamal, Christopher, Mansoor, Venkat, Odindra, Sim, my 150th certified PMP in 2022.